ஹலோ.
இருக்கேம்மா இருக்கேன். ஒரு நிமிஷமா. ஓகே.
ஓகே, ஓகே.
இரும்மா எல்லாரும் வரட்டும். ப்ளே பண்ணு பார்க்கலாம்.
வீடியோ ப்ளே பண்ணவா?
ப்ளே பண்ணு.
ஓகே, ஒரு மினிட்.
Good morning, Indriya Parik ma'am. How are you? Just having everyone joining. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. We will be starting off the session shortly at 5 p.m. I request all of you to switch on your cameras if possible so that we can have a more interactive and one-to-one session. I request speaker Dr. Indra J. Parikh ma'am to also switch on her camera. Thank you, ma'am. A very good evening, everyone. This is PP Shreyas here, the founder and managing trustee of Project Bodhan, and today's moderator. I welcome all of you to the speaker session day one of the International Conclave, Techno Conclave on relevance of innovation and technology for India's growth, October 18th to 21st, 2020, an initiative in remembrance of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam on his 89th birthday. Catholics Foundation and Project Bodhin presents this international initiative along with digital partner AJ Unlimited, Chennai, organized by Rotary Club of Indira College, Pune, Rotary Club of Amanora Youngistan, Pune, in collaboration with Rotary Club of Pune Amanora, Inner Wheel Club of Chennai Sunshine, Rotary Club of Bombay Queenstown, Rotary Club of Kota Central Rajasthan, Rotary Club of Ghanshyam Das Saraf College, Mumbai, Rotary Club of Global Youth, Pune, in partnership with Elixir Foundation, Ahmedabad, Relief Foundation, Chennai, UX Foundation, Chennai, Open Community Rudra, VIT University, Andhra Pradesh. Today evening, we will have two sessions happening from 5 to 7 p.m., which is a duration of 2 hours, where there will be two eminent speakers addressing us today for 1 hour each. So, to start off with the day, the first speaker is Dr. Indira J. Parikh, mother of liberal arts education system in India. Dr. J. Indira Parikh ma'am is the founder president of Flame University, Foundation for Liberal Arts and Management Education, which is located in Pune. Ma'am has taught at IIM Ahmedabad for more than 3 decades and also has been the former dean of IIM Ahmedabad. Ma'am's area of interest include medical engineering, business development and management, economics and accounts. Indira ma'am also has taught at the INSEAD, Fontainebleau and Texas A&M University and has developed specialization in organization development, design and institution development. Generally, awards are being given to different eminent people, but here awards are being given in ma'am's name to other eminent people in various walks of life. She has been my inspiration, as she has been an inspiration to many eminent personalities in India and a path breaker and an example setter for the women. I'd like to specially mention that Dr. Indira ma'am has been my guru and biggest inspiration in my life. Today, ma'am will be giving a talk on the topic to educate youth on holistic leadership and research on leadership. Also, she will be enlightening us on the women empowerment. It is our privilege to have you, ma'am, and I warmly welcome you again. So after ma'am session, we'll be having the question and answers, followed by which we'll be continuing with the next session of today. I request Dr. Indra Parikh ma'am to start off the session and switch on your camera. Thank you, ma'am.
Can you hear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You can keep
Thank you, Shreyas, for the generous introduction. After a vibrant morning start, I was looking forward to this session. Thank you for organizing, and I'd like to thank the committee and the morning speakers and the distinguished guests who are around. Let me start with the topic. Topic has 9 sub-points. I will talk about how this whole research project has evolved. It has taken me 5 years to get it, and now it will come out as a book in another month's time, but it took me 5 years to do the research. Let me give you a short history. It's actually a story. I was going to be leaving Flame in Pune, and I was thinking, sitting on my table and wondering what next in my life. When in walked two people, Rajiv Norona, who was a student at IIM Ahmedabad, and Ranjan Bandyopadhyay, who was the HR in TCS. And they both said, would you like to do work with us on preparing a research project on leadership? So I thought about it and I said, yes, it would be a good thing. But I said, what kind? You want a regular one? Then it will take me a few months. If you want an innovative one, it might take me some longer time. They said, no, we have to give to the world something from India. So I said, okay, so it might take me some time. When I started doing the leadership research, and I had already a framework which I was using with the corporates and students. And I put down 75 questions, but it sounded so mundane that I said, no, this is not going to, it's not a earth-shaking work, and neither is people are going to be enjoying it. So I said, let me go back to how the world started, the cosmic universe, and then from there I will look at civilization. From civilizations, I look at the present here and now, and what are the leadership models, the role models available to the country. So I looked at the cosmic 5 elements of earth, water, sky, fire, and air. And I realized that these 5 elements, only when they dynamically interact with each other, is the earth comes into the being. So even for leadership, I must have elements which dynamically engage and interact with each other to be able to create a very comprehensive leadership model. And I named it right in the beginning. The name of the leadership came much later after doing a lot of work. It is the self-reflective model of leadership. Then I started looking at civilizations. And I looked at our Indian civilization and I said it has such a rich history of many leaders. And I wanted to know what qualities they brought to make them into dynamic leaders who are remembered for ages and ages and centuries. So I looked at the civilization and I said, now in the here and now, how has our how has our country evolved, and who are the role models who have emerged, which have made an impact? And I said, if that I can capture, maybe the young people, we can imbibe those qualities, or at least reflect those qualities, and we can have a whole group of young people accepting certain of those qualities. They may not be in leadership roles, but those qualities are leadership qualities which must be understood by the young generation. So I was looking at the transition in society from an agrarian to what it is today. And I designed it in eight phases of transition of societies. Even that book is coming out, so that will be available to you. So I'm not going into the detail. But the 8 phases I will talk about, because in each phase, the leadership role required is quite different. The first is the agrarian society, which lasted for more than 5,000 years. Then we have the industrial society. In the industrial society, we have gone from traditional industry to modern industry. And we've gone to corporates. So there is a corporate leadership which is emerging from the 80s. From the corporate, we have gone to the next phase is the polarization. Polarization happens in race, religion, color, and gender. And then after polarization, I was teaching a course to my doctoral students. And they asked me, okay, Prof, what is after polarization? I said, after polarization, we will have strategic alliances. And after strategic alliances, we will have a spiritual partnership, value-based with other organizations. Then only it can, and the leadership in each of these phases is quite different. Then I was looking at Indian civilization and how it has evolved. And I came across 5 archetype models of leadership. Now, these are from the epics, and if there is no religion connotation to it, but there are patterns of leadership behavior represented by each of these 5 archetype models of leadership, which are also in existence today. If we really do a leadership mapping, some of these qualities come through, which are in the archetype models of leadership, but they were relevant in their times, their millennium, their century, and their decade. Now, if we have to have a leadership model relevant today, we have to look at today's context. While doing this research, I realized that the context from which leadership emerged are not like yesterday. They are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, the context emerged. And as the context emerged, these leadership qualities became important to be available as archetype models of leadership. And these are my 5 models are from Mahabharata and Ramayana. And from these 5 models, I identified 5 dimensions of leadership framework. The 5 framework is: how does an individual have a holistic, broad perspective? How is he or she is taking his role and responsibilities? What are the factors contributing to relationships or interface in an organization? What is the emotional, compassionate component? And finally, what is the active decision-making component? So I had these 5 leadership framework, and I designed a questionnaire, but questionnaire did not make much sense to me, so I threw it away. I said what I discovered is leadership of an individual, you can't have one uniform jacket and say this will fit all leadership. Leadership is based on the context, the kind of people, the kind of history you come from, the kind of history the organization has evolved, the kind of history the people, employees in the organization has evolved. It's the combination of all these elements which make an organization successful and a leadership dynamic. So I identified 3 contextual spaces, which is life, which is relationship, social system, and workspace. So I call them the life space, social space, and workspace. Life is a much broader concept, and social and relationships are very important in India, and how they impact men and women, both these relationship and expectation dynamics, which need to be understood before you can have a uniquely dimensioned leadership role model. And I do work with role mapping with each individual, and in that, what I have found that many of the qualities people have, but there are some gaps which they need to add and modify. So my model is of adding dimensions instead of taking a model and say, now this is the leadership model which you need to follow. So I have a 3x5 matrix model: life space, social space, and workspace. With it goes the perspectives, which goes the roles, which goes the relationships, which goes the emotions, and it goes the action. Now, I first started out doing a general questionnaire, but then I realized, after having done the work, I realized that this is not good enough for women, because women have a very different life space, very different rhythm of life space. They deal with so many relationships and systems simultaneously. And if women are not working, they have the roles, social space, and they have the workspace. So the questionnaire is so designed that if a woman can take a generic questionnaire, or a woman can take a female questionnaire, in life, in relationships, and working women can add the working dimension. So this 3x5 matrix model took me such a long time to develop. There are 225 questions in all the 3 spaces. And if I start interpreting, then I discovered that this is not enough, because every few years the leadership expectations and leadership dimensions change. They transform into, so when you enter the work, you have some qualities. When you go, let's say after 7 years, so just as the society had 8 transition phases, individuals have 7 dimensions, 7 stages and phases of life. So I have started with the age 21 to 27, in which I have separated 21 to 24, because between 21 and 24, not many men get married. Even today, women are not getting married. So 21 to 24 is just finishing their education and started to think about life and work. Then it is from 28 to 35, 36 to 43, 44 to 51, 52 to 59, and 60 plus. Each of these phases, as you move into this phase of your life, automatically something changes, because your life space changing, whether you are planning it or not planning it. Now, when I was doing this work, I looked at what happens before 21. And a very interesting discovery I made. It's a very good insight I have, that parents have children up to the age of 7. And that is the primary system. Parents are influenced by society. Society is influenced by culture. So children have 7 years of life with parents to understand their values, their beliefs, the family saga, the family values, the family culture, which has its inroads into the society and culture. After 7 to 14, the child is teachers. If we don't have a good teacher, the children don't seem to evolve. And I thought there was a lacuna. So I have made another psychometric tool called From the Teacher to a Guru. And I've designed 10 module learning and development program for the teachers to actually become gurus and imbibe the qualities of becoming a guru. But I will come to that some other time. Now, this is to deal with the leadership role model. Now, these have 7 different phases of life. I have designed a separate questionnaire. So a person who is 21 to 24 can have a questionnaire. 21 to 27 can have a questionnaire. 28 to 35, all the phases will have a different questionnaire. And I have documented what is that life space of the individual, what is the relationship space, and what is the workspace. And what are the dilemmas and what are the new thresholds the individual arrives at each of these phases. So the questionnaire has become massive, but the interpretations, if I have to put in digitization, the technical person says you have to do high, medium, and low, and then you have to give the interpretation, a paragraph interpretation. I first started out with generic questionnaire, so which was 225. 225 times 7 times 7. So the interpretation became 4,500 frames. Then I discovered that women are very different life cycles. Women enter work late, women look after the babies, their children are born, etc., etc. So I did the whole exercise with women. So I have 9,000 plus interpretative frameworks to look from based on your questionnaire. To make it seem relevant and meaningful, I gave it to 30 people. But before this, we did a conclave by TCS, within the TCS, to understand what is the Indianness in our culture, which people carry. So I had interviewed about 30 people in the conclave and 30 people individually after that. So I have data of 60 people. And I have data of few thousand biographies of IIM students from a course which I taught. So I have a huge database. Out of that, I designed the life space, social space, and workspace, the dilemmas people go through. After all this, I had to come up with an integrative model. You can't just have 7 models and leave it at that. This is the life space, and you look at it. So I started reading a lot of mythology. And believe me, if anybody is unhappy with this pandemic, I am not. Because I got so much time without interruption to do what I liked. And therefore, this book will soon be coming out. I looked at all the ancient gods, goddesses, and if I take away the godhood part, or there's nothing to do with religion, but what it in our psyche, the gods and goddesses represent, they still are human form, little more elaborate, little more perfect than the human beings. And I came up with a model after a lot of discussions with my colleague called Ardhanarishwar. And there was another book called Meso Man, which is half woman, half men, half man, half woman. But this is, my model is not half men, half women. My model is a complete man and a complete woman integrating with each other to make it Ardhanarishwari. It's called Ardhanarishwar, but I have made it into Ardhanarishwari. And based on that, I integrated the whole, the questionnaire which I developed, and I identified few things which I like to share it with the, see, the young people, when they enter the workspace at 21, they need to have a certain amount of 3 things about themselves. They need to respect themselves, they need to have compassion, and they need to have courage. These three dimensions, if a young man has when he enters work, it can see him through in the leadership roles across the 7 phases until he retires. So I've done all that work in the last chapter and saying what is the roadmap ahead. Now let me identify the few dimensions which are very important, separate the men and the women. See, women's phases of life are very different, and therefore they need to, and part of the problems with women is that they are also marrying late. So the child arrives late, and the child arrives at that moment of time when women's career is just being taking off. And therefore, there is so much guilt in managing, not being able to manage the children and work, and something has to give. So women end up giving work at most of the time, which is unfair to the women herself, which is also unfair to the children learning that women also work and grow up. So it's so there's a whole thing I've developed about women and women's issues, and what can the organization do to support men and women in fostering their leadership role as they move from one phase of life to another. I'll just give an example. For 21 to 24, the men are ready either to work or go for higher education. The parents start to pressurize girls to get married at that age, saying they won't get their qualified husband if they don't get married at that age. But women tend to develop, and many women want to work. And today you can't think that women won't work. It is inbuilt, it's a given factor that women will work. So I developed this questionnaire from 21 to 24 for women, and I did a pre-testing to work out what is the reliability of my interpretation and what is the what is the reliability as well as validity for my interpretation. So I gave it to 30 people of different ages, and I asked them to fill up the questionnaire and get a printout of those areas which I have interpreted. And then I said, I will give you 1 hour to listen to you of where I could not understand. Now, the first 4 women at 21 to 24, 2 of them started sobbing and crying. And I said, look, have I damaged? Have I said something wrong to you? They said, no, nobody understands what you are telling me. That is my life. I want to work. I don't want to get married. And if I want to get married, I want to go in such a home. I would like such a partner, so that I can feel confident that I can have my life of work and not get tied down in a social system which is strangulating. Over the last 3 months, I have seen several divorces take place because the girls have been promised something and not given. At least they're not allowed to work, and they're intelligent young women. So 21 to 24, many of these dilemmas the women go through. 28 onwards, somehow the dilemmas become similar, because once they get married, at 28 to 35, they have young children. 36 to 43, they have just teenagers entering, children entering teenage life. And that takes away a lot of stress. One of the parents says, ma'am, what do I do? My children keep arguing. They're teenagers. I said, don't blame it on teenagers. What they're really doing is arguing with you to come to a perspective for themselves. And I'm saying 100% sure if they go out and talk to their friends who will give them a different opinion, they will give your opinion. So if children argue with you, it's a very good sign. It is they're interacting with you. So don't stop the arguments. I told this to my son, and my son says, I never looked at it that way. And now I keep arguing, and my children are far more stable and clear of the perspectives they hold in life, because all I do is keep giving perspective. I don't tell them do this or don't do that. So the question is, there are times parents have to redefine their roles as children grow older. They have to redefine their roles as they change their position of responsibilities. To me, leadership is not a position of power, authority. It's a position of responsibility, of taking the system to new directions and making it relevant here and now. Now, if you don't make it relevant for here and now, then you are either living in yesterday's world, or if you go so much ahead that they can't follow, then you are living in a fantasy world of tomorrow, which your people cannot follow. So leadership requires to be at the right time, at the right place, with the right perspectives and the right responsibilities for the organization. And for each phase, then I have designed a training and learning and developmental module where the individual can cross the threshold of from one space to another and discover the potentials of what his leadership elements are. Now, I have also understood that if you take all of this from the 5 cosmic elements to the Indian civilization, to the Indian society transition, to the individual phases of life, it is all these put together which really creates a leadership. It's just not you do understand the being firm is a good leadership quality, so you need to be firm. No, it's how you configure your whole life around your responsibilities and how you take them forward and the system forward for growth. That helps the individuals to grow into their leadership roles. Now, based on all this, I asked myself the question, what happens in the early childhood? And I shared with you about the schools. The children, when they go to school 7 to 14, the children must be, the teachers must be trained also. And parents must constantly be sure to talk to them. The liberal education in the early childhood would have some very basic parametric conditions which will help the young children grow. That is, even art student needs to know maths. It is, and science and technology. So this is a very important session, that technology is very important and women need to know the technology, women need to know science, women need to know maths. Even if they don't like maths, they need to know, they need to learn. So in liberal education, science is mandatory, maths is mandatory, social science and engineers who move into just engineering and technology need to understand social science and humanities. Then only the world will flourish and people will flourish. Technology without the human existence and human concept will become a desert. And people without technology the systems will have no backbone, because today, because we have technology, whatever was happening keeps going. Nothing has shut down in that sense in terms of interaction. So technology is important, science is important, human existence is important. And in the human existence, there are 3-4 dimensions which are very important. One is the taking on responsibilities. Second is courage, compassion, and convictions. Very important to have a philosophical, most people have a philosophy of life. It is not articulated, it is not, I have asked at 12 years old, they also work with an underlying philosophy of work, which is given from the family. So if the people need to grow into leadership roles, they need to develop, be self-reflective and ask themselves 5 basic questions to develop a perspective. Who am I? What is the purpose of life? What is the purpose and meaning of relationships? And how do I make a difference? And how do I reach where I want to reach? And unless these 5 questions are answered by both men and women, for women, I have 3 other questions which are very important. You see, women, when they get married, they say they live in their husband's home, or they are going to their husband's. They are not saying we are creating a new home and a new family. And therefore, it always remains a husband's home where they are kind of a guest and they don't feel grounded. And I think the in-laws also don't help to make sure that the girl feels welcome in the home and it is her home. It's very important. If you create your own belonging system, the chances are your potentials will blossom, because then you are anchored. The potentials will blossom, and one has to be self-reflective. just looking at some leadership qualities. And I think this is what we have done in the last 70 years. We have begged, borrowed, adopted elements from the Western culture without dipping it into our ground realities of our heritage and of our culture. Unless we can do that and make sure that we are proud of our heritage, we are proud of our country. It's not that the country is completely wrong. The country may have agenda and issues, but you still have to be comfortable in your family belonging, in your social belonging, in your cultural belonging. Your roots must be solid to have a if the roots are not solid, you don't grow tall. Even a tiny seed grows into a mighty, mighty tall tree because it can go into the deep depth of its roots and hold it on the ground. So I think it's very important to be self-reflective. It is important to be grounded in one's culture, in one's society, one's family, and be proud of it. Proud not in the sense of arrogance, but realistic proud. And it is then that your innovation and creativity will flourish, because you don't have to constantly worry about the ground slipping under you. And especially liberal education to me is that magical poem in the scenario of education where your imagination starts to flower. You can have imagination, fantasy of many, many kinds, especially of growing up. And those fantasies and imagination can become into innovative technology, because technology just didn't happen one day when somebody said, I'm going to do this. It is inside the mind, which is kind of simmering somewhere, some point of time. And after a point of time, there comes a moment when you said, aha, I will do this. Now, claim I started not because I wanted to start a liberal education, but the basic purpose was young generation needs an education which is more holistic, widespread, and they learn not only just science, but they learn performing arts, they learn sports as mandatory part of it. Is the mind, body, and soul evolution in liberal education. So if you have liberal education, your leadership qualities flourish much easier. Otherwise, you've got to learn that. And you've got to learn that by identifying, doing self-reflection of what is the potentials you have and what are the potentials you are ignoring of yourself. When I do the leadership mapping, I don't talk about what you don't have, but what are the gaps in your configuration of your leadership elements, which an individual is ignoring because of the ways and means of how the person thinks, how the person is reflecting on about himself. I was mighty surprised when I joined the institute and started introducing some psychometric tests to the students. That people who enter IIM are supposed to be known as the brainchild of the country. These are the brains, these are the most creative people and management experts. You have to have really done something good to get entry into IIM. But most of the time their self-worth was low. Their self-esteem was low. They did not know how to value themselves. See, our culture is a kind of focused on seeking value and affirmation from outside. But the self-reflective model helps you to understand that if you respect yourself, you will respect diversity. If you respect yourself, you will discover the multiplicity. If you have self-esteem, you will be sensitive to other people's limitations and not evaluate and judge, but contribute to their growth. One needs to confront what needs to be confronted, whether it's, as long as it is right, it needs to be confronted. And then only the people transform themselves and bringing out their best qualities. Let me see what I have not said. Now, liberal education in the corporate system goes very well. I have been doing life role analysis in the organization and projective methodology, which is called soft skills. People discover their own emotions and learn to respect it, learn to accept it. And see, organization is not a desert where you can't bring soft human sensitivities in the organization. Its work is all right. Yes, you got to take responsibilities, lot of responsibilities, but not necessarily without the feeling tonality for it. Now, I'll give you a very nice story which I learned, which will perhaps help explain my philosophy of what I believe. The story goes like something like this. Once upon a time, there was an island. And on this island lived a wonderful man. Oh, he was a wonderful man, for he knew all secrets of life. He knew why sun rose in the morning. He knew why the moon rose in the evening. He knew all about technology. He knew all about many things in life, how the winds blew, how the seasons changed. So people of the island went to him to give him advice. Now, he became very popular because he could give advice on just about everything. But one day, in order to discover the secrets of life, this man dashed a child against a rock to discover what lay behind the skull. And the story repeats itself. Then one day he killed the cow to see how the blood ran. And one day he threw away all the old people in the island, saying they are useless and taking up a lot of space and eating a lot of food from the island. Then the people said, oh my God, he's no more a wonderful man. He knows all secrets of life, but he's a terror and we are afraid of him. So the grandmother tells the grandchild, my dear little child, when you grow up, discover the secret of this man's life and kill him, but kill him. But how long, but for how long? There's always a wonderful island, or lives a wonderful man who knows all secrets of life. The moral of the story, the grandmother tells the child, is, my dear little child, the moral of the story is, knowledge, pure knowledge, makes you a god or a demon, but not a human being. In order to be human being, you need to temper knowledge with emotions and feelings to make it wisdom. Now, this is the crux of my statement, that anybody, no matter how courageous, how brilliant, and how advanced, must also have emotions and feelings to make him a brilliant man. To have truly a leadership qualities, you must have integrity, you must have compassion, and you must have courage, and you must have convictions. And identify what is the philosophy of your own life. Because most people between the ages of 21 to 59 don't even articulate their philosophy or their convictions. And at 60, they start going to issues of Babas and Sai Babas for whatever solace and peace. But that needs to be self-reflective, needs to be right from the early age, from the young age. Even in schools, they need to be taught how to spirituality. So they start to discover perspective for themselves, which can be then translated into effective and dynamic leadership qualities. Now, how much time I have?
You are having another 30 minutes, ma'am. You can cover. It's 5:37, so you can do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, let me get back to the 5 archetype models of identity. These are the 5 Pandavas. The behavior pattern is, you see, I'm not taking the no religious sentiments here, but there is a role-centered model of leadership in our archetype model, which believes in that you play your role and you do all your appropriate role, appropriate behavior, and you do not really include yourself. In a system, you need to be a role and you play a role, but you do not include your emotions and feelings to include it for the system. Now that becomes, one can see the consequences of this in the family, whereas the eldest son takes the responsibility, many times at the cost of his sacrificing his own family and his own children's education. because the money goes for the total family. Then there is an authority-centered model of leadership, which because you are in a power position of authority or leadership position, you exercise authority. Now, such people, unless if they have the competencies of that sector, for example, this leadership model was very much relevant when the bureaucracy was growing and the public sector organizations were growing. And in a public sector organization, in a technological organization, if you put a social science person or a marketing person, somehow the person is very insecure because he doesn't know the technology or he doesn't know the manifestations and nuances of technology. And if you put a technological person into a service sector organization, again, he's insecure because he may not know the service sector nuances. So that's the authority center. That person will only utilize authority and not necessarily trust other people or be dependent on other people. He will want to be dependent on himself, and therefore the authority is the only way of managing the leadership role. Then there is a power-centered model of leadership, who is very wise, very intelligent, very effective, but uses the power for his personal benefits, personal aggrandizement, and he uses the knowledge to become central and significant in the wherever he, in any spaces, because he is the he has the power central. Then there is a person who knows just about everything. He is the Virat Purush model, who really is an intelligent and a wise man and a learned man, but he believes he's the answers for everything, and therefore he's not inclusive in his leadership qualities. And the last role model, which was empirically, I have tested this out, were in the organization. These are different ages and phases of transition, 70s, 80s, 90s. The leadership role has changed in the country. The last role model is a self-sacrificing model. He will give up his life for the organization, but at the cost of his own life, at the cost of his own stress. And this person may get several heart attacks and several strokes because he takes on the burden of everything. He will end up doing his 3 junior level work because he thinks he needs to do it right, and therefore get into stressful situations and gets it into physical ailments which are damaging to his health. Now, once I was doing an organization training program, and 17 people in that organization had a heart attack. Now, the organization tells me they're sending all these people for the best of the treatment. I said, yes, you're sending them for the best of the treatment, but let me also understand why the stress is incurring. So what is the leadership doing to incur that the people are getting so stressed that they keep on getting heart attacks? Now, you have to look at the sources of why things happen in an organization, or why a person does what he does, to understand what are the elements in the system which converge on him to make him do that. So when you're looking at leadership model, you have to not only look at the individual, you have to look at the surrounding interfaces and surrounding elements which are contributing to that phase of the individual's life. Another thing is that the leadership emerges with multiple elements. It's just not that he has the quality. This nature and nurture conflict has gone on for quite some time. No, you are born with those leadership qualities. No, you can be trained. It is both ways it works. You have all the elements which have contributed from the family, from schools, from colleges, from entry into the work organizations, from the kind of exposure the person has had. So it is not one element which makes you into a leadership role. It's many elements, how you put together to make it into a leadership role. See, on the axis of societal transition, you take a look at it, the leadership role will be different. For example, if in the childhood your life is full of, and you've seen role models who take decisions, who are decisive, who are also supportive to their people, you end up for first 7 years, you end up internalizing all that. And if in the school the same dimensions don't come with you, then those get subdued and they become potentials and not necessarily active in the organization. So the family, the schools, colleges, universities, and the organization all need to combine their efforts, because today we talk about industry academia interface, but all of us need to combine all these elements so that the individual, when he enters the organization, has positive leadership qualities and can contribute positively to the organization. There are many. Now, I was also saying, I look at these models. The models, role models have two elements which are contrasting. One has a feminine, and if you go back to even earlier, the Purush and the Prakriti, you will say that the feminine role models, femininity is available in the men and masculinity is available in the women. Then only you make a good leader, tough leader, knowledgeable leader, competent leader, and a leader who can transform the world and bring out the best of the potentials in the organization. Now, when I was reading all these Mahabharata and Ramayana, I was also looking at some of the books written by people who have given a photographical evidence. Two things struck me very strongly, that male and female both had an aggressive instrument in their hand. They had a weapon. Even the Shakti women, women who represent the Shakti or Ardha Shakti, have a model. The last three statements I will make, which say that the model has to be an integrative model. See, for example, we all are familiar with this model of Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. Now, Brahma is the creator. Now, creator cannot create only unless he has the intelligence, unless he has the wisdom. And for that, Saraswati is with Brahma. So there is a feminine model of knowledge and wisdom which is available to him as a sounding board to create the universe. The Vishnu is the maintainer, and he has Lakshmi, because you cannot maintain anything unless you have wealth. So Vishnu has wealth from Lakshmi. So you can see both these models go hand in hand, a male model and a female model. And the third is the Shiva, who is the destroyer of evil. But even he cannot destroy unless he has the support of Ardha Shakti. So feminine role models are hand in hand with the male role models. Somewhere along the line in our evolution of our civilization, we made it into a hierarchy rather than a partnership. And women role models also had either a sword or a bow and arrow or a knife or something which is to destroy evil across the. So my statement is that if you want both men and women to be dynamic leaders, they need to have both these feminine qualities as well as masculine qualities. Now, for a long time, women have started to give up their femininity. In organization, you must be tough. Organization, you must be this in order to survive. Now, I have discovered this in my own way, that femininity is an enormous amount of power. And being feminine, feminine is very different from being a woman. It's the feminine qualities which are of grace, which are of generosity, which are of dignity. If the women are self-dignified, just as the man has the element of self-respect, self-esteem, and value, the women needs to have dignity, graciousness, and learn to value themselves and give themselves their own space. They need to create their own space and accept that the space belongs to them. Many times I have seen women in the women management programs, they feel they don't have a space. Now, if you don't have a space, how can you be assertive? Because then you are kind of floating. In a floating, you can't be really assertive and courageous and assertive. You need to accept that wherever you are is your space. And in that space, you need to be able to be positively active, positively dominant, positively significant and visible. You can be significant and visible if you are significant and visible to yourself. If you are proud and respectful of yourself and give yourself dignity and let no one ever undignify you, the courage comes from there. So it's very important that um, sometimes I find capable, competent women still inside hesitating to really assert with their courage and with their convictions. Somehow, both men and women get caught with affirmation, and affirmation from authority and power who is not going to give it to you. You have to affirm yourself and you have to give yourself the authority to do things which are right. Right for you, right for the family, right for the society, and right for the country. That is what a leadership role is. Simultaneously manages himself, family, society, culture, and the country. So holistic education leads to holistic leadership qualities. And holistic leadership needs to connect with the larger cosmic realities and larger human civilization. Otherwise, you are just a very narrow, limited space you're working with. You need to have your space, you need to have your philosophy, you need to have your assertiveness, you need to have your courage and convictions. And each space where you stand belongs to you. Wherever you stand belongs to a man. Wherever you stand, it belongs to a woman. So leadership, self-reflective leadership is only when you reflect upon yourself. And you can do this spending some time in solitude, and sometimes it won't come. And you think for a while, you stay and let the thoughts come in and wander. And sometimes exactly the right thought will enter your mind about what is the right and what is courageous and what are your convictions. So this is all I have to say. I managed it in my time. And I said whatever I have said, so I had enough time to reflect on my own reflective leadership model. Thank you, Shreyas. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Really an inspiring conversation and a talk happened today. Now we are opening to the question and answers. If you have any question and answers, you can maybe unmute yourself or you can post it in the chat box. I can read it for you. So meanwhile, we're having very good comments for you, ma'am. We're having a very inspiring session and a quite thought-provoking.
Oh, that's what they've said. Very nice. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we shall wait for another 2 minutes for anyone who has question and answers. So I request all of you to utilize the opportunity and ask ma'am, because ma'am is available right now for the next few minutes, and this is a very precious time for you to interact with her if you have anything as well.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Good evening, ma'am. It was a very wonderful session. I really learned a lot of things today. I just have one thing to ask you, ma'am, if you permit me. It is so regarding this, as you said, we need a very holistic approach toward leadership where every single aspect is involved in it. I just want to ask you, when someone is actually developing or is actually in his inert position of developing this sense of leadership or some kind of such qualities, what steps should a person undertake in order to develop these qualities for a, let's say, for a certain project or for an entire lifetime? Can you please throw a light on this topic?
Okay, Shreyas, can you loudly repeat? My voice, my sound system is a bit not so loud enough.
Okay, no problem, ma'am. I request Akshay to post it on the chat box again so that we can read out to ma'am. So Akshay, if you don't mind, if you're having, can you please repeat the question? I think there were some disturbances.
Please repeat the question loudly.
Absolutely.
Am I audible now, Shreya?
Yes, now it is audible.
Okay, so I just said, ma'am, that In this, it was, I just said that it was a wonderful session what you said, and I got to learn lots of things today from you. I had a really small question. It is what you said, I absolutely agree. That is, we need a very holistic approach towards leadership and developing such qualities where every single aspect of a human personality or sphere or intellect has to be taken into consideration. But at the same time, I just had this question for, so let's say an individual is at his very initial position in a very inert state where he is developing such qualities. What kind of step one person can undertake in order to develop, let's say, his self-esteem or such qualities which would help him develop into a better leader?
See, what has happened is, if I've understood your questions rightly, that we want to always connect it to the, we don't talk about life. A holistic development would be to also see, no, for the children, the parents have transferred everything to the schools. The schools have transferred to the college to the university, and university back to the organization. So organization is now becoming the reservoir of providing life space, activities, social space, workspace. Workspace, so everybody does. In their induction, they have their training. But our young people today don't know how to manage relationships. They somehow, to them, accommodation is like losing. A marriage, if the marriage has to work, you have to accommodate and adjust with second person. And then if they see it's a competition of 50-50, like in America they do. I went to one of the vows I heard was hilarious. They said, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the man will cook. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the women will cook. Sunday, they'll have a pizza at home. Now, the question is, how do you earlier, everybody used to adjust and accommodate. The role-bound, I talked to you about the archetype model of role-bound leadership. They will just go by the role and not express themselves. So organization has to provide a learning and developmental module in managing social relationships. Today's women, I have at least 2 students who delayed their marriage by 2 years because they did not want to live in a joint family. Now, the man of that house was very wise. So he called the girl and said, look, child, you give me 1 year in the joint family. If you don't like, you can leave. I will buy you a separate house. Now the girl refuses to move out of the joint family because she discovered there is so much support for her to do what she likes. There is so much support for the child. So many people who love the child. So she doesn't have to worry about the child and she has to keep working whatever she's doing. So I think you have to look at the totality of space you live in and what is it there, which is, what are the external barriers, what are the internal barriers, what are the external facilitators and what are the internal facilitators from inside you that you need to identify. Then you can definitely start to unfold a lot of innovative qualities. My best thoughts come at 4 in the morning or 2 at night, because then everything is silent and you just let go your imagination and a lot of things. This whole model has come with the concept of energy based on my, one day I had this at 12 o'clock at night, the whole paper came to my mind. I got up, switched on the light, went to another room and wrote the whole paper. And I've never had to change a word in that paper because everything just came. You have to listen to your own voice, the voice within. The voice never deters you or waylays you. It will give you the right answer. It will give you the right direction. That is what I believe in. But you must learn to practice self-reflection. Like tomorrow, a brilliant idea will not come. You have to sit down in solitude and let the thoughts wander in your mind. And one of the thoughts will be so brilliant for you, you will get, aha, my magic has come. I'm not sure whether I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. I did get.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other question?
Thank you. Yeah, we can take one more question. And is there anyone would like to ask a question to ma'am or share anything with ma'am?
No questions?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Then
So
I'm
we
done.
will just move on to the
Thank
end
you
of the
so much.
session. Yes, ma'am,
And
we are done.
both of you this morning, again, I'd like to congratulate you for the very amazing inauguration session you did.
I have one question, ma'am. If
Yes.
I'm, ma'am, what inspired you to seep into these ideologies? Your personal experience, because I feel in the end, it's all the personal experiences that encourage us to move into some direction.
This questionnaire or this field I'm in?
The field, the field,
The
and the
field.
ideologies that you are, that you want us to inculcate. How did you get into
You
this?
know, while I was at IIM, I thought I was teaching two very special courses, which were controversial courses. One was careers, roles, and identity, which was not so controversial, but one was explorations in role and identity, where I used to take the students out of the campus for a 5-day personal growth. And there, a lot of things came out. And I had a course, I'm a product of liberal education in the US. If I did not have liberal education, I would not have been able to study because I left in the last year of my college to get married and went to the US. And I kept studying and kept studying. Opportunities came my way, and I created some opportunities or said certain things which got me the opportunities. So one has to, I knew I wanted to study. Even as a child, I said I don't want to be somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's mother, and known as that. I want to be known for myself. This I had kept it firmly in my hand. So the first opportunity I got in the US, when one of the deans, my husband's dean, asked me, "Young lady, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to study." And so he told my husband, "Parik, let your wife study." So my husband said, "I don't have the funds because the University of Chicago was very expensive." So what the dean did was he called him a week later and says, "Parik, do you have a scholarship?" He said, my husband said no. So he says, "I can give you scholarship because you are in the physics department. I cannot give your wife the scholarship, but I give you scholarship so your wife can study." And I've really utilized that. Wherever I got the opportunity, 8 years after my marriage, I did my BA. Then I did my master's, and then another 8 years to do my PhD. But it's the persistence, it is the passion to make something of my meaning of my life. That is what I've done.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That pretty much answers my question. Your
And if somebody
inspiration
tells
and
me this is wrong, I generally tell them it's your problem, not mine. Even in my family, if somebody says you can't do this, I say that's your view and your problem. I will do what I need to do.
that's really nice one. That's pretty inspiring. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the questions, everyone. So I think we shall move on to the vote of thanks for Dr. Indra Parikh, ma'am. It is very much true that before going to the vote of thanks, I'd like to add a short note. Dr. Indra Parikh, ma'am, has been my guru since my college days. And during academic days, she used to conduct such thought-provoking and enlightening workshops, which was really useful for me. And today, if I'm here, is one main reason that Dr. Indra Parikh, ma'am, is the reason behind my success. And she has also brought many people and shaped many personalities of our country. The session was really amazing, ma'am, which I've made a set of notes for it, which is you gave a deep enlightenment into your recent research on leadership. And I'm very sure that all the youth get inspired by you in the upcoming generations together. Thank you so much for making your precious time in coming for this international conclave, ma'am. It is a
God
really
bless you,
a big
Shreyas.
honor to have you today.
God
Thank you,
bless you,
ma'am. Thank
Shreyas.
you.
Thank you for being so generous with your words. Makes me feel quite
Thank you
happy.
so
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Now it
So
is
now we shall move on
Professor
to,
Bhandari.
yes, ma'am. We shall move, Yes, Mr. Bandari, sir.
I am already here, ma'am, and I have had the benefit of listening to your scholarly and humanistic discourse.
Thank you so much.
And I would request, if the time permits, please be with us.
I'm listening to you.
Oh, thank you very much. My privilege and honor.
Thank you.
Yes. So as we continue to our next session for today's evening from 6 to 7 p.m., which is the session 2 of day 1, we have with us another keynote and privileged speaker with us, Professor Dr. M.K. Bandari, sir, the Director of IOGA and Director of ILTES, an online global academy and also an international partner at World Business Angel Forum, an affiliate of G20 Nations Group, WAIF. Sir also has had 40 years plus of professional and academic experience in the field of teaching, research, administration, and exploration of innovative teaching skills. Currently, Sir is researching and executing work on the blockchain AI fintech technology. Sir completed his PhD in law in the year 1991 from the Jodhpur University. Bandari Sir is the founder president of the Institute of Human Rights, Environment and Development Studies, Jodhpur, and founder member of many academic institutions too. Sir has also published many books on blockchain technology, law relating to intellectual property, Gujarat Law Digest, and much more. Some of his awards and recognitions are for the American Bill of Rights, Fellowship for 29th session of the International Institution of Human Rights at France in 1998. Today, we are privileged to have you, sir, here in this International Conclave 2020 to speak on the awareness of emerging technology and how they will be the game changer helping for India's growth. After the session, you can post your question and answers on the chat box and you can have an interaction with sir. I request sir to take over the session. The forum is yours. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Shreyas, for being generous to me. But you know, too many adjectives kill the noun, as my English professor used to say. So you have put so many adjectives. The fact remains that I am still a student, keen to learn the new ideas, new frontiers of knowledge. Thank you very much. First of all, I must appreciate the wonderful talk given by Indira Parikh madam. I had the privilege of listening to her briefly in the morning, and now I think she is very right that science and technology without humanism, without human values, is not going to lead us to the right path. And when we talk in terms of India or Bharatiyata, then the spirituality, the social ethos, and the culture, these are the three most important pillars of strength for we all Indians. And it is a time that we must reinvent all these our basic traits. And I think our younger generation needs to be reminded that what we are and what we were. Thank you, ma'am, for wonderful talk. First of all, I pay my humble tribute to one of the finest scholar, scientist, and lately the President of India, His Excellency late J. Kalam. He was an institution in himself, and he was a human being par excellence, so humble, honest to the core of the heart, and his integrity was beyond questionable. And in every aspect, it was he who gave the India the protective cover of missile technology, and India has emerged as pioneer in missile technology and also pioneer in space technology. So we pay our humble tribute, and I must also congratulate Abhishek and Shreyas and entire team for thinking about organizing this international conclave dedicated to the son of the soil. This is a rare tribute which can be offered to such a noble soul. And Shreyas and Abhishek, let me remind you that what you are doing is a fulfillment of one of the fundamental duty as enshrined in our Constitution of India, Article 51A, subclause H, which says to develop scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. I think this kind of academic discourses with such an eminent speakers promote the scientific temper, promote humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. So I must congratulate you, appreciate you and all your team. It's my real privilege to be a part of this conclave and share some of my thoughts on the emerging technologies and their role in the future growth of India. Friends, we are in the Industry 4 stage of the evolution. I recollect when India became independent from British rule in 1947, we were known as snake charmers. Our image at the global platform, global stage was that we are cow dung collectors, we are snake charmers, we are rustic people, we are divided by so many sectarian forces, so on and so forth. But today, when we are in 1920, India is recognized as one of the major IT power, one of the major space power, which has proven its space mettle time and again, especially in the space technology. We are one of the largest defense forces and most coveted defense forces in the world. And in other areas, whether it is a commerce, whether it is a service industry, or whether it is a business, education, we are promoting, we are developing, we are growing by leaps and bounds. This has become possible with collective efforts of all Indians and the able leadership from time to time. But technology, innovation, science and technology has also played a great role in making India one of the super IT power, and in other areas, as I said. Friends, before I highlight the contribution of this science and technology and the future challenges, let me also set few points. Let me make some narratives. Number one, the innovation or science is not panacea for all. Science and technology is not panacea for all problems. It is enabler. It is accelerator. It drives our trajectory of growth. Second thing, the science and technology needs to be properly regulated. The innovations, the innovative applications of the technology must be properly regulated so that the abuses or misuses of technologies are not are prevented, are checked. Third point is that we need an ethical aspect, ethical evolution side by side the scientific innovations, because without proper ethical framework, we may not be able to use the scientific inventions for the welfare of the humanity. And fourth is that technology is a neutral tool. It is neither good or bad. It is we, the human beings, the operator of the technology, those who use the technology how we want to use them, whether we have a proper knowledge of the technology, whether we understand the limitations and the nature of the technology, that makes the use or abuse of the technology. So if something, Alfred Nobel, he invented dynamite, the explosive, which can be used for many constructive ways and which can also be used for making bombs and other destructive forces. So it is not the dynamite which is per se responsible. It is the use of the technology that is responsible. With these things, let me share some of my thoughts. First of all, for the growth of any country, what infrastructure or what I would say necessary ingredients are required. To my mind, agriculture, industries, businesses in goods and businesses in services, trade in services and trade in goods, healthcare, strong educational framework are necessary for any country's growth. But before that, for progress and growth of every country, we must have peace, harmony, our borders are secured, safety, integrity, nationalism, or our duties toward the nation. All these are the factors. Some are the soft factors, some are the hard factors, which are necessary, collectively necessary to lead a country to the path of growth. Here we will talk primarily about the technology, and that too of emerging technologies, technologies which are highly transformative, which are highly disruptive, and how these technologies are shaping or going to shape our future of the mankind, future of India, future of the world, and how we can prepare ourselves to adopt, to embrace, to be cautious about these technologies and their implications. Friends, I would just, before I start, I would ask the moderator to please allow me to share the screen. I want to show you a small film wherein the 10 important technologies and their role, a very brief 10 minutes. Please listen, watch this. Is it visible on the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Please see it and then we will discuss. I'm opening it. Is the voice audible also?
No, sir. No, we cannot hear.
Voice is not audible?
No, sir. We cannot hear.
Is it audible now?
No, sir. We cannot hear.
The voice is not audible?
No, sir. It is not audible. It is not audible.
So can you help me so that you can listen to this also?
Yeah. Is it audible for everyone? I think someone can hear it. I'm unable to. You need to increase your volume, sir. System volume. Can you just check? Okay, I think people can hear, so we can continue to play.
Is the video visible?
Yes, video is visible. Video is
But
visible.
sound is not there.
People are saying it is not audible. For few people, it says it is audible. So maybe we can post the link and people can watch on the chat box. You can share it to me.
Pardon?
We can post the link on the chat box and we can ask people to watch it.
So should I discontinue it?
Yeah, you can stop sharing the screen since we cannot hear.
Okay.
Sir, you can share the link with us on this one post talk. You can do that. I think that would help. Yeah.
Okay. If it is not okay, so uh, I was trying to show you the 10 emerging technologies which are going to play a crucial role in the future. Some of them have already been playing their role in the different areas. As I said, the India, which is predominantly, which was and which still is predominantly an agrarian society, although we have a very strong presence in agriculture, in industry and business sector globally. So in agri-tech, there are a number of technological inventions which have helped in the agriculture sector, right from yielding the better crop, improving the irrigation system, maintaining the land record. The blockchain technology, about which I will briefly discuss, helps in maintaining the correct land record, the supply chain, the transfer of agricultural produces from one place to other place, and use and distribution of the manures. All these are now being driven by technology. Now, when we talk of industry, we find that in industrial productions, the robots, the artificial intelligence driven robots are also playing very crucial role in hazardous industries. The robots are also making a lot of contributions. And also in financial sector, in which are the backbone of the economy of any nation, the blockchain technology is playing crucial role in financial transactions, in banking transactions, and also in supply chain of the goods and services, machinery, plants. The smart contract methodology is playing a vital role. The fintech, financial technology, like the online banking, the digital transfer of money, the mobile apps through which we can have financial transactions. These are the new technologies which are playing crucial role, which are helping in growth of financial sector. Again, when we talk of healthcare, this is the area where we are witnessing great transformation. Today, as we all know, we are passing through a very turbulent time. During this corona crisis, we all are eagerly waiting for a magical vaccine which could help us in cure of the deadly virus. This virus has halted our life or has redefined our way of living. Now, it is in this area, the scientists, with the help of artificial intelligence, with the help of machine learning, with the help of quantum computing, all these are the advanced technologies, are trying to expedite, trying to invent a faster vaccine. Again, in the area of telemedicine, in the area of diagnostic tools, in the area of nuclear medicine, in the area of healthcare and fitness, we find that there are a number of other technologies which are helping our scientists in finding out the solutions for these ailments and in providing better healthcare infrastructure. So then I come to the education. Education is one of the most important key factor for any society. And late Abdul Kalam was a great educator. He was a great teacher, a great student. And we all know he sacrificed his life. He laid down his life while he was traveling to deliver a lecture, I think in Odisha. And on the way, there was a while delivering the lecture, he developed a severe cardiac arrest. So education, in the field of education, I think technology is playing vital role. What we are interacting through this webinar, this virtual conference, is nothing but the use of technology in sharing our views, in meeting with each other on e-platforms. So the technology has kept our zeal of learning unabated. The virtual learning tools and techniques have made it possible to run our classes, to run our learning tools. Now, there are many other tools and technologies which are being developed in the area of learning. Most of us may be the law scholars or lawyers and other scientists. Now we find that in this learning paraphernalia, we have legal technology. The lawyers and the scholars, they can use various tools of interactive communication, ICT. There are websites, there are social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp, where we can continue with our learning process. Now, learning is not confined to classroom or the physical learning. It is 24/7 learning. They are flipped classrooms. Anywhere you can be connected with your mentor and you can learn things. Now, so far as practical in the laboratories are concerned, we also have tools of simulating the practicals, where you can simulate the practical learnings. What I mean to say, even in administration of justice, we have in the morning, it was rightly said that because of this ICT, internet connectivity, we are keeping our justice delivery system, our court proceedings going on. Of course, it is not that effective as it ought to be, because we are still not fully aware, or many of us are not fully conversant with the use of technology. Nevertheless, the tools and technology have made it possible that our journey of learning, our journey of justice delivery system goes on. We can also give the examples in the area of space technology. As I said, in space technology, our space scientists have proven time and again that we are second to none. I am reminded of one study made by the NESCOM and a status paper released by the Niti Aayog about the future of blockchain technology, artificial intelligence. The NESCOM and the Niti Aayog, they have concurred that these are the technologies which are going to offer large number of jobs, which are going to contribute. It's a huge market, $3 trillion market globally, and India also has its own share, where we can gear up ourselves, we can get trained and ready for ourselves and take advantages of these emerging technology. One of the study has very rightly said, the New York Stock Exchange has examined the impact of technologies, and it says, I quote, rapid adoption of emerging technologies such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, coupled with trusted data ecosystem, empowered interconnected teams and tech evangelist leaders, promises to produce new level of workforce efficiency, productivity, and growth across enterprises. So, what does it indicate? That these are the new technology which can be interoperable, interconnected, and they can be leveraged to offer cost-effective and efficient and transparent services or enterprises. Now, let me briefly deal with one specific technology on which we are working, and we are also imparting training and courses. Our course is going to start from tomorrow itself as a blockchain advisor. It's an international certification course, and I'm happy that Abhishek Castro is also attending this course, and he is also a member of our online global academy. Now, the blockchain technology, which was invented in 2008 by a unknown genius known as Satoshi Nakamoto. His real identity is still not clear. He invented this technology in the backdrop of the 2008 global financial meltdown. There were Lehman Brothers crisis, there were banks which were failing, there were crises of subprime loans, and the global economy was witnessing recessive trends. And it was found that the institutions which have the responsibility of running our governance have failed. They have not performed their role with transparency. The banks have given subprime loans. The corporate sector have been playing foul games, siphoning the money of the investors or shareholders for their personal gains. And there is a lack of transparency, honesty, and integrity in the system of governance. In this backdrop, this Satoshi Nakamoto, he invented a blockchain technology. He released a white paper for inventing a digital cash, which is now known as Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a kind of cryptocurrency, virtual currency. It is not a real currency like fiat money, like dollar or Indian rupee. It's a computer generated typical algorithm which represents the value in terms of the fiat money. So this blockchain technology was initially invented for mining of a currency which operates on decentralized platform, which is not controlled by any central authority. Today, all our platforms are controlled by a central data server, central authority, whether it is a Facebook or it is a Google or any other body. But this blockchain technology is a decentralized ledger of records, where all the records can be stored in a block, and these data or these information which is recorded in the block is cryptographed and with a typical fingerprint that is known as hash. And for creating a subsequent block, the hash, the fingerprint of the previous block has to be validated, has to be approved, and this block operates all across the network that is known as nodes. So the chain of blocks is created, which is available across the decentralized platform, which works on the basis of consensus. All the people who are on the nodes, they verify it, so you cannot tamper with the record. The record existing block cannot be tampered with because you have to verify the hash. The moment you try to tamper, the hash will change, and unless the hash is validated, new block will not be created. So it is a kind of technology, and through this technology, what we are ensuring is transparency. It is decentralized. All information is stored in the data is available with all those who are part of that network. No central authority is controlling that data. It is peer-to-peer transfer. From one node to another node, it is transferred. The contents are cryptographed. So nobody can, in between, read it. It can be decryptographed and read it. And then there is a hash. There is a fingerprint of every block, which has to be validated. Then only you can move on to the next block. And this is how the chain of blocks is created. Now, this technology, which has decentralized, transparency, immutability, based on consensus system, has been now applied on number of areas. Initially, as I said, this technology was used for mining of the Bitcoin, that is known as Bitcoin blockchain. But in addition to that, Bitcoin is still mined, but in addition to that, based on these 4 characteristics, decentralization, immutability, transparency, and consensus mechanism, this technology, which is also known in another way, the digital ledger technology, DLT, is now being used to transfer the value. It is also known as truth machine. It is also known as Internet of Value. In 1970s, we came out with Internet. That was Internet of Things. Only information could be transferred or shared. But now with this technology, the value can also be transferred. The financial transactions can take place based on the blockchain technology. There are a number of applications in industrial production, in energy conservation, in mapping of the land record, in identity issues. Even the countries have successfully experimented. The election can be conducted through blockchain technology. The money can be transferred with a rapid and less cost. Today, if we have to transfer money, we have to go to the bank or money exchanger, pay the fee for transfer of the money. It takes time, and there is a central authority through which the money is transferred. But here, with this technology, the money can be transferred from X to Y without any intermediate. So this is faster, this is cheaper, this is economic, this is safe. Now, this technology, as I said, is being used in number of areas. One such area is smart contracts. In supply chain, when we have a global trade, in global trade, the supply chain, the movement of goods from one country to another country must be seamless. The agreement between the various stakeholders must have a seamless and faster execution. Therefore, another version of blockchain known as Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is another platform. These are the various versions of the blockchain, which was invented by Vitalik Buterin, a Canadian young scientist, young cryptographer of age 22 years only. And on that Ethereum blockchain, the smart contracts are computer generated codes coupled with legal code, where the terms and conditions of the contract are coded in computer language. And once the terms and conditions are met, the consideration starts flowing, the contract starts execution, and you can monitor the movement of goods or movement of services on your platform, blockchain platform. So that is a smart contract. Now this is a wonderful innovation, and now all the major international trades are coming on smart contract platform. But when we talk of India, here we want to make realize the dream of our late President Abdul Kalam, that how we can gear up India for these new technology adoptions. I'm sorry to say that in India, we do not have very competent techno-savvy lawyers who can write smart contracts. Because as I said, it's a computer and a mix of computer and legal code. You have to mention every term and condition in a computer code. And the parties who are on the same page for that contract, they start executing it, and you can monitor it at every level. So we need to understand what is blockchain technology, how the smart contract is created and how it functions, what are the legal and regulatory issues which can come in the way of smart contracts, and how we can resolve those issues. This is one example. Now, the intellectual property. Intellectual property is one of the most important soft power of any country. Today, why US or Japan is considered as the technology giants? Because they have developed an ecosystem where they encourage the creation and management of intellectual property system. We also in India have developed the strong IP ecosystem, the patents, the copyright, the trademark. All these have a tremendous financial value, monetary value. Our institutions, universities are yet to create a strong IP ecosystem. So the blockchain technology help us in management of the intellectual property, because in intellectual property what we find is the issues of infringement, somebody pirating your creation, your copyright. You have worked hard and you have created something, and others are just making copy of it and earning money, and you are not aware of that, or you are not able to take proper legal recourse. Blockchain technology is one platform where you can effectively store your IP, your copyrights, your sharing of music, gaming, and other inventions, and you can prevent its infringement by a scientific method of protecting. Again, the energy conservation or our environmental, global warming, all these are very critical issues which we are facing, and how we can have an efficient energy transmission system where the loss of energy can be prevented. Blockchain technology again offers a very good solution for energy conservation and energy transmission. So what I want to say is that there are a number of applications. I can count one by one, but what I want to emphasize is that the emerging technologies such as blockchain, coupled with the artificial intelligence, we are witnessing the drones, the robots, the driverless cars, vehicles are going to be reality very soon. In some countries, the experimentations and test drives have already taken place. So now these driverless cars, they are going to operate via artificial intelligence algorithms which are pre-loaded and which will act as per the command. But we have to understand that. We have to realize that world is moving fast, and machine learning, Internet of Things, there are 56 million IoT products which can be interconnected. Now you can operate your home sitting away with just connect your home lock, your home CCTV with your mobile, and you can operate your home. This is a very small thing, but there are many other things which can operate, which can be controlled by IoT things. Quantum computing is one of the latest technology. Edge computing, speech recognition, augmented and virtual reality. These are many such new developments. Smart wears, your health care apparatuses like watches, which eye wears, small gadgets can be implanted in your body, that is known as Internet of Body, and your body minute changes, early warning, early detection of diseases can be made by these apparatuses which can be implanted in your body. So these are the new emerging technologies which are developing, and in India also, our governments of the day, they are also trying. Our new education policy, coming back to education, is giving a lot of emphasis on digital online learning. Now online universities are going to be established because we are in the competitive age. It is not an age of isolation. After WTO, globalization, liberalization, privatization, the whole world has become single platform for business and trade. So we have to be competitive. And in this race of competitiveness, we have to augment, we have to update, we have to prepare ourselves with the latest developments in the technology. Now, having said this, as I said in the beginning, there are flip sides of the technology as well. In fact, they are not flip side of the technology. I would say that they are flip side of our understanding and our use or abuse of the technology. So there are technologies which are so disruptive, which are so fast emerging, that first of all, we have to understand the nature and scope of those technological inventions. So in India, what we need is a culture of innovation. Our universities, our institutions, not only the IITs or IIMs, but other institutions must also emerge as innovators. We must not be repetitors. We must not just copy, but we must create. So this is the challenge which we have to accept. And I think that would be the biggest tribute to our late president, the great scientist Abdul Kalam, that we create the wealth, we create the innovation, we create the knowledge, and not just repeat or copy the knowledge. So our institutions can invent, can invest in invention. The government has provided the dedicated funding. National Research Foundation, NRF, is one of the hallmark of the new education policy. So it is a time that our young minds, as he used to say, ignited minds, our young minds must sensitize themselves, must work. And now we have a global cooperation. As I said, we can connect with any best institution, whether it's MIT or Cambridge or Oxford or Harvard or any. We can connect with them. She studied at University of Chicago. So now the opportunity, I think at that time, the opportunities were not much. But now we have tremendous opportunities. The campuses, foreign campuses are going to come to India. The new education policy has paved the way for that. Our campuses are going abroad. So in this scenario, we have to develop ourselves. We have to augment our capabilities and competence when it comes to the innovation and creation of knowledge. So what I would say, that while we understand the technology, we must promote an ecosystem. And that ecosystem must have proper regulatory framework, Because unless we have a proper regulatory framework, we cannot make safer and better application of the technology. As I said, our Information Technology Act 2000, it was enacted in the year 2000, and it revolutionized our trade. E-commerce became a legal way of doing business. Now today, if we are able to survive during Corona crisis, it is because the online delivery system, because when lockdown was there, or when still the partial lockdown is there, we are much dependent upon online trade, online business. So this has become possible because the e-commerce has been legalized. The e-governance, today we can file our documents, applications on online. Government accepts online tendering of the business activities. All this is now legal because Information Technology Act has made it so. Side by side, the cyber crimes have also increased. The abuse, as I said, abuse of cyber space, abuse of internet, abuse of social media has also increased. We have an investigation machinery. Although still we are grappling with the effective investigation and effective punishment, these are the issues, but the law has enabled the correct use of the technology. Similarly, when we are talking of blockchain technology and we are talking of the artificial intelligence and other advanced technology, we must have a proper regulatory system. Recently, our Honorable Prime Minister emphasized while speaking on the Niti Aayog sponsored artificial intelligence conference that the ethical dimension, the use of artificial intelligence for human welfare. After all, the human welfare, the welfare of human beings is the fulcrum of all our activities. And for that, we must have a proper regulatory framework. In the absence of regulatory framework, if the technology is abused, we may not be able to book or prevent the crimes which are associated with it. Or the one example is the cryptocurrencies or the Bitcoin and other forms of the currencies. They are being misused. They are being used or misused for Silk Route, for drug trade, for illicit fundings. Therefore, as of now, we have not fully legalized, I would say fully legalized our use of cryptocurrencies. But sooner or later, looking to its impact and its reach and its adoption by the global community, one day we have to realize that these cryptocurrencies are a real financial instrument and we have to regulate them. So we need to regulate the technology. That is one major challenge which we have to understand. We have to learn the technology, we have to adopt the technology, but simultaneously we have to create a strong regulatory framework. We have to adopt ethical practices. I am fortunate to have been associated with certain international organizations like WABF in framing the ethical code of conduct while using the technology, and also the data protection. Last point. Do I have some time or I should conclude? Shreyas?
We have few minutes, sir.
Okay.
Maybe just finish it. Yes.
Yeah, fine. I will just take 2-3 minutes, one important point, and then I'll be happy to respond. Associated with all these transformational technologies is the immense use of data. They are all data driven. As we call, data is a new oil for economy. I would say Terry data, I can't quantify them, is being collected, generated, used in application of blockchain technology, in application of artificial intelligence, because all the algorithms are based on the data. So data is collected, it is used, and also it is sometimes misused. And we have seen the real examples, how the Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, they have rigged the data which is collected. Even our own data which is available on various social media platforms, our images, our pictures, our personal profile, they may be used or misused. And there are instances, several instances, when the pictures are cropped, they are misused, images are artificial images are created. So this is a major challenge. This is the flip side of the technology. Those who are in the dark net, they uh, use our data, our confidential data. The cyber frauds are taking place every day. So we have to be cautious. We need to have, like the Europe has the general data protection regulations, or the US has the Millennium Data Protection Act. We too need to have a strong data protection law, and a draft bill is already in circulation. The government is already seized with the matter post the Supreme Court judgment in Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India's case, where Supreme Court directed that India, we do not have the data protection law, and it is a time when we are playing with such disruptive technologies, and we are using such technologies. We must have simultaneously a strong data protection law where the use and abuse of data is properly regulated, penalized, abuse is penalized, and the abuse is prevented with certain safeguards. So all these issues we must understand, and I think at the core of all that, I would argue, I would advocate that we must have strong educational imprints to train and sensitize our young minds toward these emerging technologies. And this conclave is one positive step in this direction, for which I congratulate once again. And I thank all the learned participants who have gathered here and who are listening to me. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sirs. That's really amazing talk, and it was 1 hour conversation. Really went on well. Maybe this has brought about another set of enlightenment out here on what is technology about, in discovering it in various fields. And that way, you, as an academician, you really set it forward. And I think this would really benefit us, irrespective wherever we are. Now we are open for question and answers. If you feel to ask any questions to Sir with regards to the talk, or would like to express something, you can unmute yourself and talk. Or if you feel that you cannot, you can post on the chat box and I will take the questions for you. So we have a comment over here saying it was an amazing session, sir, for you. So I
Thank
think
you. Feel honored and feel rewarded also.
Dr. Indra Parik, ma'am, would you like to add any comments to Sir's conversation today, Sir's a note today, like on his talk? You could unmute yourself and say. We have sir, we have been hearing more about cryptocurrency in the last couple of years, but still
Yes.
there's a gap in understanding this, unlike like investment in stock market and mutual funds. So is there any credible platform for securing the interest of the investors?
See, yes, this is a very germane question, and there is a lot of curiosity about the cryptocurrencies in India, because till the Supreme Court delivered a judgment on 4th of March in Internet Mobile Association versus Reserve Bank of India on 4th of March, the cryptocurrency trading was banned by Reserve Bank of India, and all those exchanges who were dealing in cryptocurrency trade, their accounts were seized. The Supreme Court of India declared that circular of Reserve Bank of India as unconstitutional and violative of right to freedom of trade and business. But that does not rest the controversy. The government of India is still planning to bring out a law banning the cryptocurrencies and even punishing it. Any trade in cryptocurrencies, whether it is a Bitcoin, there are 500 varieties of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is leader of them, and it is most valued cryptocurrency. Therefore, generally, we understand that when we talk of cryptocurrency, we talk of Bitcoin. The government is still, the Subhas Garg, former finance secretary, headed committee, interministerial committee, is still planning to bring out a law banning the trade and investment and any kind of dealing in cryptocurrencies as illegal, prohibited, and punishable. Simultaneously, the government has also shown its interest that we are coming out with a digital currency, Indian digital currency, which is a state-sponsored currency, like digital dollar. Now, Russia is also coming with digital ruble. America is also coming with central bank-sponsored currency. So that is a different thing. But when we talk of cryptocurrency, as of now, it is a huge international instrument of exchange and value. There is the total market value of Bitcoin as of now, as per 2019 report of the Deloitte, is more than 2 trillion equivalent to US dollar. And there are 130 countries. We have all these record with us as per the US Congress survey, which have in one or other way are regulating the cryptocurrencies. But in India, still, we do not have clear regulatory framework. That is why we have been emphasizing that it is a high time that we must have post-Supreme Court judgment, we must have proper regulation about dealing and investment in the cryptocurrencies so that the interest of the investors can be protected. In the absence of that, since it is a technology which runs peer-to-peer, there is no central authority, there is no Reserve Bank of India or Government of India or any other authority which monitor the transactions, the tradings are going on, and it's difficult to track them. Therefore, as of now, as a institution which is talking about the blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies and all that, we do not advise. Rather, we caution our participants, our viewers, our listeners that please don't enter into this risky zone of trading or investing in cryptocurrencies as long as you are in India. Outside India, in Singapore, Japan, America, Switzerland, these transactions are not, Hong Kong, Thailand, these transactions are not banned. They are easily accepted, and people are using, buying, selling Bitcoin, investing in Bitcoin, trading in Bitcoin. But so far as India is concerned, we do not recommend, we do not suggest that till the regulations are made clear, we should enter into this venture of dealing with cryptocurrencies or specifically with Bitcoin. Because still it is a gray area where we need clear regulatory framework.
I hope the question has clarified whoever has asked. Thank you so much, sir. This is something which we'd like to say for the audience as well. In our upcoming sessions, also we have an international speaker who will be giving us a talk on the same topic of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. He will be able to throw some light into it with regards to Bandari sir's talk today. And this is something which is very, very important, irrespective wherever we are, because when we are in emerging India, technology grows in all fields. So I'd like to take this moment to thank you for taking your precious time in spending time with us, in giving us a wonderful talk today evening. Thank you so much, sir.
This is just a small ahuti in the yajna which you are performing. So
Yes, yes, of course, sir. Thank you.
my full support and best wishes for this mission. Keep it on, and we'll be always there uh, to support you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I
My
thank
pleasure.
the speakers, Dr. Mahindra sir, and also Dr. Indra Parik ma'am for making it for session 1 and 2 of day one. And for now, we conclude with day one session today. So we look forward for all of you to the upcoming sessions. Tomorrow evening, we're having another talk at 6 p.m. So we look forward for all the audiences being present there. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Good night.
Good night to all.